Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special virtual job fair for employees of Manchester Tank in Bedford, Indiana. We appreciate everyone joining us today. We've got 3 employers with us to talk about some excellent job opportunities they have available. We'll get started with that in just a couple of minutes. First, I wanted to give a little recognition to our partners for this virtual job fair, Work One South Central, or what we call Region 8. You see on their slide here, they encompass the counties of Brown, Davies, Greene, Lawrence, Martin, Monroe, Orange, and Owen in the south central part of the state. They do a great job of helping folks with training and job opportunities through their Work One offices. As you can see here, it talks about our Work One Center, which is a network of offices that we have throughout the state through the Department of Workforce Development and our regions. It's the heart of the Workforce Development Center. It's where staff can help you find a new or better job, choose a career, access training, or get the information needed to succeed in today's job market. Now, Work Ones have been closed, but many are reopening, some by appointment only. So please check out the Work Ones in your area and find out how they can help you. With that, I'm going to introduce our employers who are going to be presenting today. First of all, we have Eric Hainline from Granite Inliner will be our first presenter, talk about opportunities that they have available. Next will be Justin Hardesty from Liner Products. And finally, we'll have John Bings and Theron Thomas from Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane Division. So with that, let's jump into the jobs, and we'll get started with Granite Inliner. Eric, take it away.
Thanks, Dave. So my name is Eric Hainline. I'm an engineer with Granite Inliner. I've been here about 8 years now. Granite Inliner is just down the road from me on 37 in Orleans, Indiana. It's a name you probably know, or a company you're probably familiar with if you're from around the area here. What used to be Reynolds Construction has formed over the years. In the early 90s, we started a division called Reynolds Inliner. So instead of digging big holes in the ground, we started lining pipes. It's a new trend in the industry. Instead of digging it all up, there's trenchless ways to do it a little bit more efficiently, a little more economically, a little more friendly to the environment. Inliner has grown since that point. Literally went from the point where we were fabricating those very first pipe liners in garages and floors, installing 1 or 2 a week, and just thrilled with what we were able to accomplish, to the point now we're the second largest pipeline installer in the United States and growing. Business was smaller diameters to begin with, residential sewers, laterals, things like that. Our repertoire now is up to 120 inches in diameter. Just to kind of paint a picture, before I became associated with this industry, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around the notion of what a pipeliner is. Well, maybe take a second to describe that.
Sure.
But every time we do a load of laundry or wash the dishes or flush the toilet, that goes somewhere, goes to a residential sewer system. So your lateral flows away from the home or from away from the business and goes into collector sewers that head down the road, down towards larger wastewater treatment facilities. Same thing is true for storm sewers as they make their way out to rivers and water bodies. Same thing is true for industrial and process sewers. Those sewers have lifespans. Everything ages. Eventually they deteriorate, some more rapidly than others. We found a way where we can renew the lifespan of those sewers and fix them from the inside out, as opposed to having to dig them all up. Today, it's the most prevalent way that folks fix sewers across the United States and certainly in Europe, and it's a growing industry for sure. It's a multiple layers of felt. They're coated, they're saturated with a resin, and we typically use heat to turn that product into basically a PVC or a plastic sewer inside of that existing pipeline. In a nutshell, that's how it works. Dave, you want to slide to the next slide there?
Sure. Yeah, let's looks like you're currently hiring 8 to 10 laborers. We're going to talk about what that means.
Perfect.
And here's a position you're going to talk about, labor. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the very core of our business is in our cured in place lining installation crews. I don't have a job unless we have crews out there running around putting these pipe liners in the ground. That's the very most important part of what we do. Currently, across North America, we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50 to 60 lining crews. I'm including Canada. Our operations span all the way west to the Rockies. We're up in the Northeast to Maine and all down the East Coast into Florida, Texas. So we've got a pretty good geography going. Right here in central and south central Indiana, our operation is based out of Orleans. We run about 10 lining crews out of here. Now, each one of those lining crews, there's a superintendent who acts like a foreman, and there's 5 to 7 guys that are with him on that lining crew. They'll leave the office here in Orleans, they'll head out to a job site, they'll install these pipe liners, and that's their day. Depending on where they're working, it could be a day trip where you're out and installing the product and coming back. Quite often it does involve some travel, and that is maybe it's a week-long trip or something along those lines where we're staying in hotels, you're living with these other guys, you're installing these pipe liners into the sewers and heading home at the end of it. The position is laborer. There's opportunities to grow and advance within the company. It starts off with basic tasks in the field. This is running heavy equipment, machinery equipment. It's construction. We're hard hats, safety vests, the whole personal protective equipment. We're out there working hard. Trying to think of the best way to describe this, but a day in the life for one of these labor positions, or a day in the life for one of our lining crews. So we'll arrive on the job site in the morning, and the very first thing we're going to do involves safety. Take a conversation with that crew about what hazards exist that day. What are we going to do to mitigate those hazards? Let's develop a plan to make sure we all go home the same way we left this morning. Then we're going to take a look at that sewer before we install a liner in there. We're going to look at the conditions, make sure everything is ready for what we set out to do that day, give it one last good cleaning. Then the liner goes into the sewer. There's a couple of different ways we can get in there, and I won't get into the technical part of it. We can follow up with questions if we'd like later. But the liner is installed inside of that sewer. And then I mentioned earlier we use heat to change the properties of that liner from a flexible product into a rigid product inside that pipeline. So there's a matter of time where we're heating up that liner and then holding it at certain temperatures and then cooling that liner down towards the end of the day. You open up the ends of the liner you've installed, you reinstate the services for all the homes that are connected to that sewer, so they're back in business and service, and then move on to the next one. Skills, we're looking for folks that are good hard workers, that are honest and come to work with integrity and want to do a good day's worth of work and do something helpful for other people. Self-starting is important. We do a lot of training that's associated with this. Some of it is on-the-job training. A lot of what I'm describing, it's difficult to learn from a textbook. You kind of need to see it and get your hands on it and get dirty a little bit. But from the training aspect, we have a growing training program where we're trying to send people out there prepared to go on day one and make sure that as they advance in their career with us, there's always something for them ahead. There's the next rung on the ladder that they can climb. There's something else that they can do. They can grow with us over the years. We've got really good benefits here. Granite is a larger company. I mentioned earlier that we started with Reynolds Inliner, Reynolds Construction. The current, I guess the umbrella over us is Granite Construction. Granite is a West-based company, big, 4,000 or so employees rather. And with a larger company like that comes some pretty attractive benefits. Benefits are on the screen here in front of you. I won't read every single one, but I tell you from experience, it's a pretty attractive package. Dave?
All right, well, thanks for that. That's a good summary. So if someone's interested, talk about what they need to do to apply.
The name on your screen right there is your go-to. Andrea Winters is our HR business partner, works out at Orleans here. We have current availability and openings right here for folks. It does take a while to get on board and uploaded, so I'd encourage you to be responsive and start. There's a handful of ways you can do this process. It's as simple as picking up the phone and calling. The number right there is 812-865-3232. You could email Andrea, have a copy of your resume. You could come and apply in person. We are in the middle of a national pandemic, the same as everyone else. So be cautious if and when you come. Know that face masks are required if you're going to apply in person, but never underestimate the power of a face-to-face conversation. Multiple ways to apply. There is an online option right there as well. If you go to that website at the bottom of your screen, graniteitihq.com, that'll take you to an online application process. Any questions in the meantime, give myself a buzz, give Andrea a buzz at that number there, and we'll be glad to walk you through it.
Great, thanks, Eric. A couple quick questions before we let you go.
Sure.
Help us understand pipeline rehabilitation. What exactly do you do? Talk about that a little bit, please.
Sure. So the broader picture, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but if bridges and roads are much more visible, that's our national infrastructure that everybody can see. Just as important is the water and sewer systems that are underneath those roads and bridges, the stuff that's out of sight and out of mind. We can't ignore it. We have a nationwide problem where we're about 20, 30 years behind where we should be in repairing that infrastructure and keeping it up to snuff. I mean, imagine what life is like if you don't have clean, safe, potable drinking water at home. And when you flush the toilet, it doesn't go anywhere. That is clearly a problem. So the trenchless sewer industry world that we're in, as I mentioned earlier, we find ways to fix those sewers and rehabilitate them, extend the lifespan by 50 to 100 years so that we don't have to worry about them, so that we know that they're safe and that the water is going away and coming to your house the way that it should.
Okay, just for a second, talk about what kind of qualities are you looking for in a potential team member?
I want good folks. I want honest, hardworking people. Ability to work in teams is important. This is not a job that's on an island where you're going to push buttons and turn knobs by yourself. We work as a team. We operate as a team, both from a safety standpoint and all of the different functions that put that liner in the ground, that process that liner, that handle a client in the field, that can talk to a homeowner with concerns. It's all teamwork. So I'm looking for hardworking folks, team-oriented, interested in doing something good for communities and environments. If you fit those descriptors, this could be a good fit.
Okay, thanks for that. And finally, why would you want to work at Granite Inliner?
A couple of reasons. The people are our best asset. I know a lot of folks will say that, but at the end of the day, I really do think that the people are what makes this place go. The product is great. Our service is great. People like working with us and generally choose to, but it's the people, the main core reason why that happens. We've got good folks around here. A couple other reasons, the ability to travel, the opportunity to get out and see some things. That a lot of our folks find that very attractive. It does require some travel, but I mentioned earlier that we're a decent sized company that has some good geography with us. It's not uncommon for our lining crews to be working right up the road in Bedford. It's also not uncommon for our lining crews to pack up for a week and go help out crews in Atlanta. Or we've got operations in Canada, or we've got operations in Denver and Texas, and we share resources. We're on the road quite a bit. If that part of it is attractive to you, then that could be a good fit too. Maybe a third and last reason, the ability to help and feel like you're doing something. I mentioned the criticality of this infrastructure. This is important stuff that we're doing. We're making a difference for the environment. We're making a difference for people's day-to-day lives with clean, potable water and sanitary sewer services. That means something.
Okay, well, thanks again, Eric Hainline from Granite Inliner. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hear from you again with maybe a couple closing thoughts when we wrap up a few minutes later. But for now, we're going to move on to our second employer, which is Liner Products. And I'd like to again introduce Justin Hardesty. And Justin, take it away.
Hi, thanks a lot. I'm Justin Hardesty. I'm the Director of Operations here at Liner Products. I've been with Liner Products for, 20 years in October. So I've been here from the beginning. We started in 1999. I came on in October of 2000. We started out one shift. When I got here, there was maybe 15 people on day shift, and we've grown that operation into two shifts now. We run about 40 people on nights and about 75 to 80 on days, and we're looking to grow. We're a subsidiary of Granite Inliner, so a lot of the things that Eric talked about are applicable to us as far as the benefits and the type of work that we do. The difference between Eric's stuff and what we do is we're a factory and we manufacture the tubes that the crews that he's talking about are installing in the ground. So where he's a lot of travel, we're home every night, just your typical factory type work. We've got a lot of lines that we run. We get what our operation is basically is we get rolls of felt in, like giant carpet rolls of felt in. We'll slit those down to the proper size. We'll build tubes, as Eric said, anywhere from 3-inch all the way up to 120. So we'll slit that felt down into the size that the customer's ordered. Once the rolls of felt get slit down, they'll be formed then into a tube using either stitch or heat bond. This is what the tube actually looks like once it's completely finished. So we'll form those into a tube and run them through an inspection process and pack them up and send them out the door and send them off to Eric and let his crews do what they do with them.
All right. Well, let's get into some discussion about the jobs you have open, and it looks like you have one main position, but 2 different shifts. It looks like. Talk about the shifts just a little bit first. Sure.
The day shift right now we're running a 7 a.m. to 4:30 and 7 p.m. to 4:30 on nights as well. We're doing some cleaning in between shifts right now for the whole COVID situation that we're in. But at some point we will look to get back to that 6 to 4:30 and 7 to 5:30. The day shift, we work that 6 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, and then typically we will work a Saturday 6 to noon. Now that'll rotate basically in a 2-shift or a 2-crew kind of shift where you'll only work every other Saturday. And if you are scheduled to work on Saturday, you're off one day through the week to get your appointments done, your doctor's appointments, your dentist appointments, and just the various things that you do when you work the kind of hours that the day shift crew will work. Now night shift will work Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday night, you work every other Friday night. 7 to 5:30. Typically, we don't work weekends on night shift. If we do, it's strictly voluntary basis. We do have a lot of work right now, especially. We're getting ready to get into our busy time. Summertime is our busiest time of the year. So we do have a lot of work that we need to get done. So we're working some overtime now, and even doing some voluntary on Sunday. We typically do not make Sundays mandatory. That's a very, very, very rare occasion. I think probably in the 20 years that I've been here, it's only been like 5 or 6 times. But we do make Saturdays mandatory basically every other Saturday in our busy time of the year. So there's the good opportunity for overtime if that's something that you're interested in. The night shift also has $1.25 shift premium. So there's that for the night shift as well, if that's something that you're looking for. So that's kind of the shift deal that we're working.
Okay, let's get into some details about the job. Looks like manufacturing technician. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. The jobs that we do, like I say, we have a bunch of different machines out there. We have slitting machines, we have some sealing machines, we have inspection lines, we have lines that actually manufacture the tubes and join them into join the felt into a tube. So we have a bunch of different things out there to learn. Nobody knows. There's no felt manufacturing tube or plants around here, so nobody knows what we do. So we're not looking for somebody with experience in specifically what we do, but just that manufacturing experience goes a long way to helping out when you first start. Our orientation, we do run people through a week-long orientation. Day shift and night shift will both stay on day shift for a week, and they'll spend a week with one of our more senior guys to kind of get your bearings and kind of learn a few of the basic tasks that we do. As I say, there's a lot of room for opportunity, a lot of room for growth here at Liner Products. You'll start out doing some simple tasks, just stacking tubes on a pallet. And you can grow from there. I mean, up to operating machines. And like I say, we've got a ton of machines that we can do. The inspection lines are relatively basic. You're just inspecting the tube as it goes by, and then all the way up to our 120-inch diameter line, being the operator of that line and being in charge of basically a nine crew team that works together basically on a daily basis. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here for growth, and I mean I really think it's a fantastic job for this area. The skills and experience, like I say, there's nobody that knows what we do in this area. We're just looking for people that want to come to work and want to do a good job for us. We do some tape measure things, where so you have to be able to read a tape measure. Other than that, we can teach you everything that you'll need to know. The benefits, exactly like Eric said, they're the same. We have the exact same benefits package that Granite Inliner does. So we're getting that small employer, but with the big employer benefits. So it's a huge advantage for us. And yeah, like Eric said, it's a really great package. The 401k, the health insurance, it's all top notch.
Okay, great. Well, if someone's interested and they want to apply, take us through that process.
Yeah, it would be the exact same. You can call up the Orleans office. There's a couple phone numbers there. Pat Atkinson or Andrea Winters. You can apply online, or you can email your resume. As Eric said, there's nothing like coming and knocking on the door and talking to somebody face to face. You're certainly welcome to ask for me. I'm here every day. So yeah, come on down to Paoli and stop by.
All right, well, we got some similar questions, but I'm going to throw them out at you as well, and you might have a little bit different response than what we heard from Eric. But again, talk about pipeline rehabilitation a little bit and what exactly that involves.
Well, on our end of it, we're just the tube manufacturer. We don't travel. We don't go off the job site, so you're home every night with your family. If that interests you, for sure. The work that we've got, it's just basic factory work. Forklifts and machines, equipment. Again, like Eric said, we don't have really anything that's where you're by yourself. You're working in a team. You'll be with anywhere from 3 to, like I said, 9 or 10 guys on any one of the lines, depending on the size of the line. So the ability to work together with people is a huge asset. As far as pipeline rehabilitation, yeah, like I said, we're just the beginning steps of what that whole process is. I think Eric did a pretty good job of explaining how that works. Okay,
then just what is it like working at Liner Products? Give us some insight into that.
Sure. Liner Products is a little bit different from some of the other factories maybe in the area. It's not really a fast-paced job where we don't have we have goals and stuff that we have to meet, but we don't have like daily quotas or anything like that. It's not piece rate type of job. You're working together with a group of guys. Typically, there'll be a leader on each line. It's somebody that's been here for several years and got a lot of experience in what we're doing. And it's very diverse. So you're not really doing the same thing every day. You may be on, especially in the beginning, you may be on a slitting line one day, an inspection line the next day, and helping stack another day. Another day you may be on a sealing line. So there's a lot of diversity, and you can mix it up. It's not the same thing every day. It's not monotonous. And like I said, it's slower paced. It's not go all the time. It's air conditioned. And the one big thing about Granite is they're extremely safety conscious. So as Eric said, PPE, hard hats, safety glasses, vests. We want our guys going home the way they came to us. So yeah, those are the major things for us.
Great. And finally, before we let you go, what qualities are you looking for in a team member Talk about that a little bit, please.
Sure. Ability to get along with people is big because we work in groups, and just we need people that come to work every day and want to do a good job. Yeah, there's not. I mean, as far as the training goes, we'll teach you everything that you need to know. You just need to have a good attitude and want to come to work.
Okay. Well, thank you, Justin Hardesty from Liner Products. Appreciate your time and going through that with us. Stay on. We'll get some final closing thoughts from you when we wrap up a little bit later. But for now, we're going to move on to our third employer, which is Naval Service Warfare Center Crane Division. We have two presenters, John Bings and Theron Thomas. And to start off, I'm going to turn it over to John. John, take it away.
Hi, so my name is John Bings. I'm our lead recruiter at NSWC Crane, big Navy base, 30 minutes southwest of Bloomington, Indiana. Primarily focus on science and engineering, though, and so I'll turn it over to Theron to introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, I'm Theron Thomas. I'm the primary business recruiter, and while we have about a 70% or so technical aspect at Crane, we do have a large business side also. So yeah, go ahead, John.
And we're doing a lot of hiring each year. We have been for the last 5 years. We'll probably be for another 2 or 3 years. So kind of mentioned where we're located. It's actually kind of a little bit of trivia is Crane is actually the third largest Navy base by area in the world. We support a lot of Navy programs. We also span the entire Department of Defense. So we do a lot of work for Army, Air Force, Special Operating Forces. It's really important work. It's meaningful work. We're supporting the warfighter directly, making sure they can go complete their mission, come back home safely, and ultimately help defend the country. All right, so real quick, we have kind of 3 focus areas, which is electronic warfare, strategic missions, and special missions. And that basically is breaks down to electronic warfare, a lot of radar systems, a lot of jamming systems the warfighters use, strategic missions, supporting strategic assets, sub-launch ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and then special missions are kind of the boots on the ground, folks in Afghanistan and other parts of the world supporting their needs as well. Okay, so next slide, please.
Okay, so it looks like you've got some various types of opportunities. I think we're going to talk about 3. Is that right?
Yep, correct.
All right, so we go to the next slide. First one, so this kind of overall, what we're looking for, it's full-time civil service positions with the government. We hire both engineers, scientists, and business types, as Theron mentioned. So on the STEM side, which is the science and engineering side, a lot of our hiring is electrical engineers, computer scientists, computer engineers, mechanical engineers, physics, but others as well. So mathematicians, and lesser numbers than the other ones, but mathematicians, data science, a little bit of engineering. About anything you think of really science engineering wise, we do hire in smaller numbers, but so a wide variety of skill sets we're looking for on that. So on the engineering side, and I'll talk about more in the next slide, but on the engineering side, there's different ways to apply, but you do need to, it's much better if you're in school or you're thinking about going to school, if it's an ABET accredited school, which a lot of engineering programs are, but there's some that aren't. And then so Theron, talk about the business.
So on the business side, we've got a large amount. As a matter of fact, I just saw a slide yesterday. We were up to around $1 billion of transactions coming through Crane. So we've got a large, robust business side looking for accountants, finance majors, business administration. On the business side, we also include information technology and some other degrees. If you've worked in the corporate world and you've got something to offer, we'd be interested in seeing your resume. There may be a fit there. The other degrees portion there, one of our jobs that we hire quite often for is a contract specialist, and that actually just requires a bachelor's degree, regardless of what it's in, but you have to have 24 hours of business related credits. And that spans a pretty broad gap. If it says business in it, if it's finance, if it's accounting, those types of things, probably counts. And the only way you'll be able to find out is send your resume into us and let us take a look. And if you do, make sure you send your transcripts with it. And then both of these jobs, because we are the federal civil service, and everyone who works at Crane must be at least eligible for a security clearance. U.S. citizenship is required for that, and for both of these, if you're journey level specifically, that means you've had a few years in the industry and you have those degrees we've talked about, or that experience. You can send it your resume to the crane_recruiting@navy.mil. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on how to apply later on. So we'll go and move forward, I guess, Sir John.
Yeah, next slide. I think that's the STEM slide. Okay, so scientist, engineer hiring, how we hire. So we hire at all levels. That's folks that are currently in school for internships, full entry level full-time positions, and then journey positions, which are basically experienced engineers. And generally, it's about 2.5 years of experience is where we kind of have that line of, you know, if you've been working somewhere for 2 years as an engineer, then you would be in that journey level status for us. So you mentioned U.S. citizenship. You do have to, and pretty much for engineers, scientists, engineers, in almost all cases, you do have to get a security clearance. And so part of that is the U.S. citizenship. So the 3 ways for internship, for those that are in school or thinking about going to school for engineering or a science degree, there's what we call our STEM student employment program. And that's basically you apply, either meeting us at career fairs or sending your resume into Crane_recruiting. There's a few requirements to that. You got to have a minimum GPA of 2.5, and it pays pretty good, starting for if you're a freshman, sophomore level, it's about almost $16 an hour. And then if you come in after your junior year, it's around $20 an hour. And so that program, we want you to come work not just one summer, but successive summers, depending on where you're at academically, and then convert to a full-time position with us. So it's a very good program to get into when you're in college. And you could also opt into any and all the benefits that a full-time employee gets. So you could start contributing to your retirement fund and all that stuff, and start accruing your vacation time as well. So full-time, very similar, meeting at career fairs, sending your resume into Crane_recruiting. Those are very similar in terms of how we find candidates for our science engineering programs. That's a big chunk of our hiring. It's a full-time. We generally have been hiring about 100 full-time scientists, engineers. Probably will be for at least the next 2 or 3 years. Journey, do a lot of journey hiring. Now, obviously with journey experienced engineers, we are generally looking for specialized skill sets, but that's something where, again, you send your resume into Crane_recruiting, we can take a look and see if there'd be a good fit. But we do hire a decent amount of journey engineers as well, scientists, engineers as well. So, so yeah, that's kind of covers the science engineering side. We do hire a lot. I mean, but Darren mentioned business, but our biggest hiring really is scientists, engineers. So, okay.
Yeah.
Next
So
slide.
go ahead and go to the next slide.
Move on. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so like the SSCP program, we also have pathways internships, and those are really very similar. Everything John talked about for the most part is the same with the business side. The one real difference is that we have what's called direct hire authority for most of our STEM positions. So if you're an engineer student or an engineer journey level, you know, we can just hire you if your resume fits and the manager likes you and the interview goes well. We can do that. On the business side, it's slightly different. Especially with the internships. Again, everything's pretty much the same. If you're getting a degree in business or something related, you can apply with us. The problem is with the internships is we only open that up a couple of weeks in the fall. So if you're going to go back to school, use some benefits, maybe go back and try to find that degree, what you'll need to do is set up an account on usajobs.gov and do a search or set yourself up to get emails on Pathways Intern, and specifically those that are related to Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane or Crane, Indiana. And it'll send you an email. USA Jobs will send you an email every week telling you if there are jobs available. So again, USSCP, you can meet us at a job fair. You can send your resume straight to that inbox. If it's a Pathways, you're going back to school to get a business type degree, or you're interested in that 24 hours of business credits with any degree, you can send us your resume there also, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to apply through USA Jobs. Now, the business, if you have a business degree and you've been in the job for a while, certainly you can send to us at at Crane_recruiting at Navy.mil. And we'll take a look at that, because we do hire some seasoned professionals on the business side as well. But again, specific to the Pathways internship, just understand that we only open that up a couple weeks. It's normally around the October timeframe, and that is your opportunity to apply if you're getting a business degree. So we'll go ahead
and well, real quick on the Pathways, that really is overall the best route to get a full-time position on the business side of things. And the other thing I need to mention is there is a 640-hour work experience to be able to convert to a full-time position. Right. So if you're in your junior year and you're going to a college in the area, it's possible, but you're going to have to work part-time schedule after the summer, things like that. You just be aware that there is we want people to convert to full-time positions, so that 640 hours is a requirement we have for that. Right. And going back real quick on that, Crane_recruiting is a very good way to get your resume in, but really we both mentioned career fairs. That's really that face-to-face connection. Now this fall, a lot of them are going to be virtual, but come and visit us virtual. It's still good to make that connection. And then when we see the resume come in, we could we've already met you, even if it was virtually. So
we'll go ahead and go on to the next slide.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about applying, but let's get into that just a little bit more.
Yeah, so like John was saying, if it's STEM, you can see right here on the slide, if you're STEM, science and engineering, you're business graduates, you've got a degree, or SSE interns or experienced professionals, in the business realm, Crane_recruiting at Navy.mil. Send your resume, send your transcripts along with it if you have them, because oftentimes we need to see that to see what type of coursework you've got.
Yeah.
On the pathway side, again, build your resume and all that stuff on USA Jobs and start your search to make sure that you get notified in the October-September timeframe about those announcements.
Yeah, and so with the USA Jobs, just be careful. There's questions there, and make sure you read and understand the questions, because you don't want to self-rule yourself out. And people have not got sent on to us for consideration because they just misread the question and answered it incorrectly. Right. And you have to make sure you have transcript up there, so make sure you follow the instructions on that. And then the other thing too is a good point to mention. If you follow us on the social medias down there, every year for the past couple of years, and we will be might do it virtually this fall. We haven't decided, but we have a Crane career fair near right out by one of our gates out at Crane. So if you follow us on the social media, there'll be information on whether we're going to do that virtually or on site, but you'll be able to see if we're going to have our actual career fair specifically for Crane.
Yeah, that QR code there will take you to that URL that you see on the screen for our careers, and it's going to show you all of our Facebook page. We've got a career site on Facebook and LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. And John's right, all that information is available there. That QR code will take you there. If you just point your camera on your phone to it, it should pull up the link. Another thing I wanted to mention before we move on is our benefits package is standard throughout the federal government. There's no necessarily special benefits at Crane. We do have some local policies like our telework opportunities and things like that. Crane is NSWC Crane, and that's another thing I wanted to point out. We are representing the Naval Surface Warfare Center Crane. Crane is a large Navy base. The Army's there, the naval facilities, there are several other agencies. We are talking specifically about the Naval Surface Warfare Center. We come into work, you can come in other than your manager having a specific time, anywhere between 6 and 9. You can work, potentially work a compressed work schedule and work 4 days each week, and get every other Friday off with the longer hours, those type of things. There's tons of benefits, 5% on matching funds, health insurance, life insurance, all kinds of things. We have nursing rooms for mothers. There's a ton of benefits in the federal government.
And government's one of the few organization still pays a pension. Now it's not as good as it used to be, but there's still pension.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a great place. And with that there, if you have any other questions, we'll be happy to answer them now.
Yeah, thanks for that. I do have a few quick questions I wanted to throw out, and some of this may have been touched on a little bit, but do you have any immediate openings?
John?
Yes, we do on the science engineering side. Now, we work on fiscal years, so we're at a time of year where we don't have as many openings right now. There's still a few we're looking to fill. But because we work on fiscal years, basically this September, we're going to have all new positions we're going to be filling for next fiscal year and starting October 1st. So, so we do have some positions we're still looking to fill right now, but in September, we're going to have basically all new positions to fill. And total hiring, we've been averaging about 350 a year. For our total hiring. So I anticipate that still being about 350 next fiscal year.
Yeah. On the business side, we've got a few contracting specialist positions open. That job comes open several times a year. We're nearly constantly looking for people in that area. Also, a couple of logisticians, seasoned logisticians, supply chain management types, that type of thing. If you have that type of experience, degree background, go ahead and send your resume in to us, and we'll take a look at it. But on the business side, we are just about filled up. And as John said, the fiscal year will bring new hiring possibilities for us.
Okay. How about, do you accept interns getting a degree online? Talk about that real quick.
Yeah, now, so there's only a couple of accredited online programs for science engineers. So we do meet a few candidates like that. One through Arizona State. But the online programs more kind of affect the business side. So Darren,
yeah. So we do absolutely. If you're getting a degree online, the neat thing about our internship programs is this: you talk to your manager. Basically, you can work a 40-hour week. We have interns that are working full schedules and going to school at night, or a few days a week, that type of thing. So it is very flexible. And I know that the audience, at least that we're talking to now, the vast majority of you have been working there for a while, probably have established families and stuff, and perhaps full-time school is not necessarily a thing, but school could be very important to getting a job. And at the end of the day, everything we've presented here does not guarantee you a job. We still have to go through the interview process and all that, but yes, absolutely, we do allow online degrees as long as you're going to school and maintaining a good status.
Yeah, and really kind of the advantage of, I'll say that one of the advantages of doing an online degree and getting into pathways is that, most online degrees you take, you're taking classes kind of when you want. So if you take classes in the evening, you could work essentially full-time as a student year-round while you're progressing towards your degree.
Okay, and finally, just a real quick question, but an important one, is a security clearance required?
Well, on the science engineering side, pretty much 99.9% of those positions, there is a security clearance required. The majority of those are going to be secret, which, there's the background check and questionnaires and things like that. There are a few top secret, which is a much more involved background check, but those aren't as common. But the secret one for almost all the science engineering positions are required.
Right. Now on the business side, like I said, everybody that works at Crane has to be at least eligible, which means you go through a background check. And the stumbling blocks for that are typically criminal background of some kind, financial issues, bankruptcy, that type of thing can certainly be a stumbling block to getting a clearance. If you hold dual citizenship or you held a foreign passport, that type of thing, those things can slow down, not necessarily prevent, but can certainly slow down the process. So yeah, the answer is you don't have to necessarily have a clearance for some of the jobs, but you have to be eligible for them.
Okay, well, John Bings and Theron Thomas, thank you for that. Naval Service Warfare Center Crane Division, appreciate your time and participation in the virtual job fair. We're going to wrap up here quickly, but wanted to go back just briefly back to Granite Inliner and Eric Hainline. Any final or closing thoughts from you, Eric?
Nothing pertinent, just thanks for having us to be a part of this. The Indiana Workforce Development is doing a good thing here, so thanks to you and thanks for Work One for putting this on. If anybody is interested, we do have immediate availability. I think 8 to 10 slots of what it said there. It's competitive pay, good place to work. We'd be happy to have you. Give us a call or apply online. All the information was on that screen.
Good, thanks, Eric. Thanks for participating today. Going to go back to Justin Hardesty from Liner Products. Justin, any final or closing comments from you? we lose Justin? Maybe he's on mute.
You hear me?
Yes.
There you,
we can.
there you go. Yeah,
There
so
we go.
we've got day shift, night shift positions open right now, 10 to 15 on each shift, immediate openings. So we're ready to do some hiring. We're ready to get some people to work.
Good. All right. Well, again, thank you for your participation on this virtual job fair. And finally, back real quick to John and Theron from Naval Service Warfare Central Crane Division. Any final thoughts or comments from either of you?
Well, I'll say I've been at the Navy base Crane for 30 years. I've loved it ever since I got there. It's a great place to work. And so, yeah, feel really fortunate that I was able to get that job out of college.
And I'm a 30-year veteran of the military, and I can tell you that I've been asked on occasion, why do I like working at Crane? And I can tell you because I've felt the effects of it. In the military, I used equipment, that Crane produces. I've seen it in use, and there's no better feeling to me than going to work and knowing that everybody there is supporting our nation's defense, our nation's war fighters, and making sure that we have the advantage over our enemy. And that's, it's a great feeling. Working for a place that's making someone money is a great thing. I would put that, I wouldn't hold that against anybody, but the feeling of being a part of our nation's defense you can't replace it.
Well, great. Thanks again to all of our employers and presenters today, and thanks to all of you watching. Good luck to all of you, and we're going to wrap up for now, and have a good day.